Ah, shit. This episode of the BRG Podcast has been brought to you by our patrons. Here at BRG, we'd like to thank those patrons who have subscribed and donated. It is because of generosity like yours that makes this show possible.
On this episode of the podcast, Gaming Frontier is back again, joining us to talk about this week's news, including yet more stupidity from Equifax. And we tackle the main topic of talking about devs' relationships with reviewers. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the BRG Podcast! Yeah! I'm your host, WarpedJester, and of course, as always, over here, my wonderful Kirrok. Thanks for the interrupting beaver, Kirrok. Hi, Kirrok.
Hi.
You yawning bastard.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, guys, welcome back to another BRG Podcast where we do everything that is related to gaming news, a little tech news, a little bit of other news, and of course, most importantly, the Equifax news, because there's always Equifax news, just so you know. And joining us tonight, back again, you've seen him before, you'll love him, Gaming Frontier. So right below me, we've got Adolfo.
Hello.
And below Kirrok, we've got Guillermo.
Hey, everyone.
So we're happy to have those guys back. It's been a while, and a lot's gone on with them. We're actually going to dive into that a little deeper tonight when we do wrap up, because those guys have been out and busy, going to all kinds of places and doing the thing when it comes to what's going on with them. So we'll talk about that in more detail. But that said, we do have a lot of news tonight. Bit of gaming, a little bit of tech, and a little bit of Equifax, because like I said, there's always Equifax news, and there's just more dumb coming out of them, so we want to be able to touch on that. So that said, we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Alright guys, it is time for the Speedy Bits, and to start off our wonderful bit of news here, Fortnite players enjoy a brief period of crossplay for Xbox and PlayStation. So according to a series of Reddit posts, PS4 gamers had discovered over the weekend that they had the ability to play with non-PS4 players. Basically, they found that some people had spaces in their names, which PS can't do. And they figured out that there was actually people playing on Xbox, of all things. They actually had a father and son who got pictures of them playing side by side on the two different consoles with their characters back to back in the game.
Nice.
Now, this was rather short-lived. The developer of Epic Games confirmed this in a statement, but they quickly disabled it, calling it a configuration issue. So, when asked by a Twitter user for his reaction, Epic's decision, Xbox Phil Spencer responded with, "We'd love to see them leave it enabled, but of course it's PlayStation with the stick up their ass."
The man, Phil. All right, so Fortnite Battle Royale will make its way to consoles before PUBG, and it's free to play. Epic Game announced that Fortnite Battle Royale will be scheduled to release on Xbox and PS4 September 26th, which would make it effectively the first fully free-to-play Battle Royale game on the market. Before anyone else. So like PUBG, 100 players get dropped in a map. There's some electric barriers that are slowly closing in on the players, and it's effectively a battle to see who's the last man standing.
Yep.
Epic also announced that there are going to be some microtransactions in there, some cosmetic and compendium-like content that you can buy as you progress through the game. And finally, on a very, very interesting twist of things, Bluehole's Vice President Chang Han Kim called out Fortnite's upcoming Battle Royale mode for replicating the PUBG experience and vaguely threatened further action.
Ooh.
Yeah, grow up.
So a mod that adds online play to Super Mario 64 draws Nintendo's ire. This is from Ars Technica. Basically, ROM hacker K's Manure says Nintendo issued takedown requests from several of his videos of Super Mario 64 gameplay on his YouTube channel. The main video itself that the mod launched received I think, more than 1 million views since it went up early last week. And Nintendo has also issued DMCA requests against him on his Patreon page, which funded the creation of the variety of Super Mario 64 hacks and was earning him, the mod creator, about $700 a month. This is what you were talking about, stick up their ass? Sorry, Wiimote up there? Never mind.
So this is basically my favorite news in a while. So there's a hidden Nintendo Switch game that unlocks on the anniversary of Gaming Icons dev, Satoru Iwata. So a former user by the name of Sept reposted on the forum that a game called NES Golf just mysteriously showed up on her console's main screen on the home menu. If you began to investigate what could trigger the appearance of this Nintendo Switch game, and finally people found the answer. The hidden Nintendo Switch game became known as Flock, which is basically golf spelled backwards. And hackers studied the code for this, and they figured out that this hidden game unlocks on July 11th, which is the date where Satoru Iwata, Nintendo's previous CEO, passed away. So this is basically like a homage to Mr. Iwata, because he was one of the programmers for this game, and you have to unlock the game. The Nintendo Switch internal clock has to be set to July 11th, and you have to do the directly to you gesture from Mr. Iwata on the home screen, and the game basically unlocks. And this is absolutely the best thing ever. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Homage.
Yeah, absolutely.
NBA 2K18 gets an emergency patch fix for a data wiping bug. This is reported by Engadget. So 2K's latest game of basketball basically got a 0-day patch to fix a bug that could wipe your progress. The issue has been reported so far on Xbox only, but both major consoles did get the patch. The patch is actually, by the time you see this, already done. The bug would erase user progress, items in the game, currency, and in the online mode as well. 2K also posted a step-by-step guide on how to recover lost info and clone a non-buggy save. Unfortunately, so far, recovering pre-order items will be fixed at a later date. So if you're this reminds me of No Sky. If you're a guy who pre-orders the game, No Man's Sky, this is what it reminds me of. You could potentially, if the bug hits you, lose the pre-order items that you got, and there's no way to get them back until maybe later on. So, whoops, kind of sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the huge Minecraft cross-platform update is live. But just a little problem there, not yet for the Switch. This comes from Engadget, and so basically the Better Together update is now live and brings the update brings Xbox One, Windows 10, VR, and mobile, the versions of the game, to a single cross-platform level, so that anyone can play together in there.
That's incredible.
The Switch, it's absolutely great. I just love everything that has to do with cross-platform play.
Yeah.
It's the dream, man. It's a dream. But the Switch, however, has been left out of the loop for now. This update is expected to make it to the Switch, but until later this year. And according to Microsoft Studios corporate vice president Matt Booty, here's a quote from him. He says, "We just flat out couldn't get those two completely in sync."
For PS4.
For PS4, specifically talking for PS4. With the problem with the rollout was that it was never intended for the PS4, which is, again, talking of people with sticks up their asses. Just make it happen, man. Just make it happen.
Just make it happen. Yeah.
Please.
PlayStation, man, they just don't like to play with other people. I don't know what to tell you. Other people who don't like playing with other people is Overwatch. I love Blizzard, and once again, give them props, because Overwatch decides to fight toxic players by muting them on Xbox Live. Yay for this! This is kind of old news and new news all at the same time, because they've been doing this hardcore for a while here, and again, I give them props, and I love it. So the Overwatch team released a new update, including new map, Hidden in the update, however, was a new tool that aids Blizzard to fight against toxic players. Xbox Live users that earn enough scorn in the avoid me reputation will be banned from in-game voice chat. So they can still play, but you don't have to listen to them, which is a wonderful thing. The ban won't affect their gameplay. They'll still be able to play see other players. They can't be heard by other players. So people who are basically assholes or abusive, don't have to worry about them anymore.
That's fantastic. Just...
Sorry, did
Like
you
those-
guys hear me there?
Like those goddamn Canadians.
So HTC Vive can now ditch the requirement for a PC thanks to a cloud VR service in China. So this is in China only for the moment. So historically, there have been two main barriers to entry on the high-end VR space, which is the price of the VR device by itself and the cost of the computer that can run actually the VR software. So for this past weekend, HTC announced a partnership with a company called Dalian Television and Beijing Cyber Cloud. So this basically launched the world's very first cloud VR service that negates the need for a PC. So basically, the straightforward thing is that now people can stream VR content. Yeah, my only worry about that would be the latency, because the latency in VR, I mean, that
and
would
the
get very
throughput.
decent.
God, crunching VR over freaking
Exactly, yeah.
cloud.
I mean, the
Jesus.
latency will be the big problem for this, but if they can get that working properly, that could be a very good step in making VR a viable space for the mass consumer.
Yeah, agreed.
More power to them, I guess. Something not for the mass consumer any longer, unfortunately, is going to be Flappy Bird, because Flappy Bird will no longer be a playable game on iOS 11. This is the creator's final goodbye. So, for those of you who don't remember Flappy Bird, it was this game that literally you were a little bird that flapped. You tap, it would fly up and then drift down and flap. You try to dodge through things. So the creator of the popular Flappy Bird game has confirmed that he will not be updating the game to run Apple's latest iOS version. This means that those players, the players on iPhone users that have the game on their device, cannot upgrade or update their OS, or they will not be able to play the game anymore. So if you're like a die-hard, super hardcore Flappy Bird player, you are SOL.
And you deserve it.
Yeah, again, more power to him, but he said, my responsibility of supporting this app was finished since 2014. This is just my announcement for the current event. So, bye-bye, Flappy Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all 20 of those guys that were still playing Flappy Bird.
Hey, let's change gears and let's talk about a little bit of tech news.
Absolutely. Okay, so this one's pretty cool. The world's largest aircraft has a successful engine test, which is fantastic. This comes from Engadget, and the world's largest aircraft, called the Stratolaunch, has finally left its hangar and overgone testing, 3 to be exact. The first one was what they call a dry test, where they hook the engines up and add supplementary power source from. They hooked them up to a supplementary power source, see if they work. The second was a wet motor test, where they introduced fuel into the engines, and finally they started each engine individually and tested if they could idle, basically. So the aircraft's maiden flight was supposed to take place last year, but it was delayed, and now it looks like they are back on track.
That's pretty cool.
It's
massive,
fantastic. Yeah.
Big effing plane.
Future is now.
And I know there might be a fan in this group somewhere. Moving on to media news, Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger, both on board for a new Terminator movie, reported by Ars Technica. James Cameron, the director of the whole Terminator thing,
That's
is
the
returning.
exciting part.
Yeah, I know. It's from him. Is returning to write a new story in the Terminator universe. Arnold and both Arnold and Linda will be returning to anchor the story, as Cameron will write in and introduce a new younger main character in the sci-fi adventure. This is expected to be the first in a new trilogy. So, this is pretty cool.
And here it is, Terminator 37. Here's Arnold with his walker.
I mean, the part that I find cool about this is that it's James Cameron himself actually helming the movie. I didn't know it was a trilogy, though. I think that might be a little too many movies, but at least for one more, I'm cool with it. I think it's cool. Yeah.
Hey, other news.
So yeah, moving to other news, a website called Google.com. You may have heard about it. It's now 20 years old, and that in by itself makes me feel very, very old.
Yeah.
I really thought the website was way younger than that, but it apparently not. It's 20 years old, so it's been 20 years since the Google.com domain was registered by the company.
Cool. Well, happy birthday.
Google's not even open to drink yet. And they control the world's information.
You can watch porn, though. Which is what most people use it for anyway, so I guess that's... Switching gears to a little bit more saddening news. Toys R Us are crushed by debt. Files for bankruptcy. According to the Washington Post, Toys R Us, the chain of stores, filed for bankruptcy Monday night after struggling for years to pay down billions of dollars in debt and remaining relevant in the area of online shopping. Analysts cited many reasons for the company's demise: lousy in-store customer service, a second-rate website, and prices that are often higher than the many of its big box competitors. And add to that, all of the debt that they mounted from, this dates back to 2005 leverage buyout, which is they are having a big problem that a lot of other companies out there have, that there's no way they can compete with the online market. The company said it's 1,600 Toys R Us and Babies R Us locations would operate as usual, and that it would work with its investors to address its debt, which is about $5 billion, which is a quite hefty amount.
Yeah. That's a nasty amount.
That's Jesus.
It's just another one of these big box brick and mortar stores that has a shit website and didn't ever put two and two together and realize that I can order my toys from Amazon for less cost and 2-day shipping.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
you're kind of fuckered. I wouldn't go buying stock in them anytime soon. Another people I wouldn't buy any stock in is Equifax, and well, you think you know why, but funny thing about that, here it is, week 3, guys. We've got more news for you, and oh my God, how could this get worse? You might ask. Well, let me tell you. So during this whole debacle of Equifax, compromising everybody's fucking information, Equifax's official Twitter site accidentally tweeted the wrong link. They actually tweeted and sent people to a phishing site 9 times. 9 times.
Jesus.
So the official website was www.equifaxsecurity2007.com, and the site that they quoted in Twitter was just Security Equifax 2017. Now, to be fair, the website was less about, it was a phishing site in a sense, but all it was an individual trying to show them how easy it was to compromise a shitty website like that, and web link, and their own Twitter picked it up and pointed to the wrong place. It just keeps getting better.
These guys just can't win, eh?
No, they can't.
Well, okay, I got the final one for the night and in the Speedy Bits, and it's also Equifax. Equifax Chief Information Officer and Chief Security Officer are out. This is reported by CNN. Equifax Chief Information Officer and Chief Security Officer are retiring, the company announced on Friday.
Please, it's retiring to spend more time with their family.
The more interesting thing, and this is awesome, I love how it says this. The more interesting thing is that the chief security officer's education background was a bachelor's in Russian from the University of London. So that's what he
not be security. Not anything related to security.
No, a language.
That would be a bachelor's in the arts.
The hell?
I wonder why the security was so bad. Anyways, guys, a little long night, but I appreciate you sticking with us. That's the speed bits that we're going to get chugging on. Alright, guys, we're going to dive into the meaty bits. I know, again, meaty bits is when we take a couple of news topics that came up this week. We want to dive into them a little bit deeper than we would in the speed bites. So, speed bits versus meaty bites. Anyways, so there's two topics I want to talk about tonight. They're kind of associated. One I want to just kind of touch on so you guys are aware of it. And this has to do with Steam has a review bomb problem. So basically what it boils down to, this is in light of, well, many things, but most recently the Firewatch issue, where Firewatch dev said basically we're DMCAing anything for PewDiePie because fuck him, he's an asshole. Which again, they're not wrong. PewDiePie is kind of a dick. But anyways.
They're not wrong.
But in rebuttal to that, since PewDiePie has a massive amount of dumbass followers that will blindly follow him off a bridge, they went and review bombed Firewatch and basically just pitched it. Now, normally Steam has a review process where people leave a review and kind of a mentality of the review, and you'll see, generally positive, very positive, average, or generally negative. What Steam is trying to do to fix this issue, if you will, is to give us the buyers, the users of Steam, a better picture of what the reviews are like. What I mean by that is instead of just having a general mentality as this, they're now going to have a graph where you can actually see the history of reviews. And this is great because in doing so, what you're actually going to get is an actual graph line. You'll
snapshot in time.
Yeah, you'll see those spikes where all of a sudden, for whatever reason, something spiked or something dove in review. So in the case of with the whole PewDiePie fallout, the generally positive review of Firewatch turned into a generally negative review. If I didn't know anything about the game or the crap going on with PewDiePie, I'd go, oh, okay, this game kind of sucks. But the reality of it is, it really doesn't. People are just trying to dive. There were other things talked about and how to manage this, but none of them worked out right because it ended up giving a disingenuous general makeup of what the reviews were. So I gotta be honest with you. My opinion is I think Steam did this right. It puts the power in our hands to review and see the whole history to understand better what the game is like over time, so that we don't get duped by these bombs. But I want to get your guys' kind of feeling on this. So Kirrok, start with you.
Yeah. Well, to give you an idea, I actually have this game, and I haven't played it yet. I plan to stream it, and I think just from previews that I've watched, like the little teaser trailers that they put out, I think it looks great. And I know the settings in the 80s and something like that. I love the art style. And I got the game based on good reviews at that time and what I saw from the videos that I watched. And now I just went over to the actual Steam page while we're talking here, and you can see all reviews says very positive, and it gives a number, 27,500 some odd. Now it says under recent reviews, mixed, 2,507. So it's like, I think I'm in agreement with you actually in how if they're doing it through a chart system, it's better because you don't get a this is what it is now. You get a hey, this is how it's been trending or its performance has been tracking. And then you might see a dip if something goes off on that game, or you might see a climb, but you can kind of get a better idea and maybe even look into it a little deeper to figure out why.
Yeah.
I think that it's a good solve for now. I mean, maybe there's something better, but I like it.
Okay. And I'm really curious for you guys about what you think. Since you guys are kind of on the side of the fence, you actually work for a game studio. So, Adolfo, first of all, does this make sense? Is this the right way to do it?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know if this is really the best solution or the thing that will actually solve the issue, but it does sound simple enough that the community will be able to grasp it or to understand how it works, and it does seem that it can work on it. I don't know how much people are actually gonna enjoy or engage with actually watching a chart. Like, is people really want the simplicity of just a sentence, like just a word or two
Yeah.
words and the number maybe, which is not the case on Steam, but is the case on other sites. I don't know if a chart will actually be a thing that people will go into and click on it and see it. But for people like us who really, I mean, at least that's our case. I think when we want to play or buy a game, we want to get more in depth into that. We may get a better view of it, or we would appreciate something like a shard. I think that this will also tell a lot on games that have post-release content like DLC
That
or
is a
updates,
good
patches.
point.
Because I mean, the one of the games that I can think about that had some issues with that was Prey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember some. I think it was IGN or some big site, or it was either IGN or GameSpot who gave the game a 4, I think, because of some issues with the PC version that the reviewer got. So maybe if that game has a lot of issues on release, the the reviews of the game will not stay that way. You will see how the game evolved or changed after release, and you will see that reflected on the actual reviews of the game. So I think that can help a lot. Some of the titles, some of the online titles as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's a really good point because it's a little bit narrow to look at just this one instance where, somebody decided to go after a studio or a game and have it bombed, and this will help kind of get a little bit of a variance. You can see, granted, I agree with you, simplicity is always best because, with all due respect, humans as individuals are smart, intelligent, and rational. Humans in mass are dumb, panicky animals, to quote a certain movie. People are kind of dim, so keeping things simple and just saying, look, you can see the difference here. But I like the aspect about this will actually have other benefits, because there's a lot of games out on Steam that it isn't just the original game. It isn't like we go down to a store and buy a disc and that's it. That's the game. It's never going to change. In this world, anything you buy, the fact that you bought a game that I bought, but with a year's difference, can be the world of difference in how we perceive the games. The game that first came out had problems. They've since fixed them, and it's really good. Or vice versa. The game I bought and raved about was wonderful, but then it nosedived because they released some patch or update or new content release that just absolutely killed it. Now, Guillermo, I want to get your thoughts on this too, because it's kind of focused on that second idea of what Adolfo is bringing up. Do you think that's going to have a benefit or a detriment to games?
The second part meaning the
How
incorporation of DLCs and how they change dynamically with, I do agree wholeheartedly. It's I'm on the fence, but not because of those reasons. I mean, customer reviews are always very wild and very ever changing and very dynamic, and they don't generally represent a real consensus on a game. They don't really represent how good a game is, because people, as you mentioned, they have a mob mentality that might lead them a certain way, and that's entirely because of maybe some external factors, right? Like, this is a very good example of a game that happened to be bombed because of a certain controversy on YouTube, and there have been many games that have that happened on throughout history that have that same thing happen to them. So I guess it's a good way of having it, but I see it more as a great step for reviews in general. I mean, if we could have something like this, as you mentioned, that also encompassed the critical reviews, the reviews that are done professionally, and we could change the review system to show how a game is at one point in time, and then how it turned out and how it evolved, and change that review dynamically that way, even if it's the same person, right? If the same reviewer sees a game, says, take for instance Destiny, the very first one, anyone that played Destiny day one would have a very a certain opinion about it. If that same person played the game after the Taken King came out, their opinion very, very likely will change in some way, right? So to have that happen and to have that portrayed some way for the actual critical reviews would be much of more help than with the customer reviews. But I guess it's a great way to start that trend. That's
Certainly.
what I would.
Well, the other thing too is if you're gonna have some kind of split or division between the two, or multiple different times,
Best of both worlds.
It might be best to have I can see having a graphic showing the actual things, but maybe have the ability to put a marker in just to note, hey, this is when X happened. When this is when this DLC came out, or this is when this debacle came out, so people understand the timeline. Because if somebody looks and sees all of a sudden a huge nosedive in a game for reviews.
Right.
Well, what was the reason? Was it because Firewatch had a new DLC come out and it ruined the game, or is it because people are just being asshats and want to firebomb them, to use a pun? That's kind of my take on it. Now, I'm sure I could dive into this a lot deeper, but there is another topic here that I also want to talk about that has to do with reviews, and this actually is a kind of on the other end of things, if you will. There was a big scuff up just a day ago here before recording, where there was a negative review of NBA 2K18, and the reviewing party went through and basically talked about the game. And this is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to try to explain as best as I can. So basically, the overall review of this game from a lot of sites has been generally good. 7s, 6s, 7s, and 8s out of 10s. But this one particular review that came up for a particular site was a 3 out of 10. Now, in that review, they even stated that the gameplay was competent, it was good, there's a lot of options, etc., etc. It basically said the game was fine, except that basically to advance, to do anything, you have to use microtransactions. And when they posted the review, they gave it a 3 out of 10, and they basically kind of said that this was I don't know what the term is, but basically it was just strictly on purpose calling it a 3 out of 10 because we don't like this particular element of the game. Yeah, it was kind of a sabotage review.
One of the things comments was that it's made intentionally grindy, so you're more likely to do a microtransaction for virtual currency.
So be it. Again, with reviews, if you're ever looking into a game, don't ever look into one review and take that as gospel. Look around, get a feel for it, and get your own personal take on by getting multiple pieces of input. If you listen to just one person, you're not getting a good roundabout review of things. Here's where the crux comes in. The creators of this game didn't really like the fact that they basically bombed this review and gave it a 3 out of 10, and they basically told them to take it down. And they did. Now, to be fair, they did, and after going through a review process, they went ahead and put the review back up with the 3 out of 10 score.
Unchanged, exactly.
Yeah, unchanged. But the fact that the game studio came to a review and basically said, fuck you, take it down, we don't like the fact that you gave it a negative review, there's a whole lot of problem with this. I gotta be honest with you. So it makes me feel ill to begin with. I appreciate that, again, creating a game is a labor of love. No matter how you look at it, from whether it's a big studio or an indie studio, there's a lot of work and heart that goes into these games. And you don't ever want to hear negative. You draw a picture, somebody says, well, it looks like shit. That's going to hurt. Because you worked on it. It's your baby.
Right. Yeah.
But to go to somebody and try to heavy hand them to remove the review or modify the review, that gets a little shady and ugly. And I don't even know where to begin with this, so I'm just gonna. Guillermo, we had you last time, so you be first. How do you feel about this?
I don't see any scenario in which this would be okay. I don't see any way, any like reason why a developer should go to anyone and say anything, especially about our review. And I want to give a very particular example with something that we actually went through, without name, dropping anyone. Last year we had a site in Mexico, a Mexican video game site, called the game that we released last year, Hunter's Legacy. Hunters was the number one in the top 5 games of the year, but on the worst game of the year was awarded to our game. Like, we were the worst, and we obviously had like a huge explosion of not anger, but of displeasing, right? We were not happy with like why, and I mean, we were being compared with things like Resident Evil and stuff. So we were like, dude, I mean, it hurt, because I mean, you do put your heart and soul into everything that you do, and you at the end you release and you do that because you think that the game is good enough. But even then, I mean, everyone out there has can share their mind, have a title to their opinion. And there's nothing wrong with not liking a game. There's absolutely nothing wrong with disliking either the game in its entirety or a certain aspect of it, right? So in this case, in NBA 2K case, if they did, and if that's the if that happens to be the case, that you have to have impossible grinds to actually go anywhere, then I guess it's more than welcome, someone pointing that out, because at the end of the day, even for us and even for them, criticism, it's always a great tool for making whatever you do next and for making your craft better, right? So for the next time, or even for a patch, I mean, if you want to make the game better now, you can then fine tune all of those elements and have a game do better because you actually took the criticism in a positive way instead of just ranting and making a mess with that.
I agree with you. I think that's one of the big things that we kind of talked about this off camera between the scenes, but people are getting way too sensitive about a lot of things, and I think this is a good example of being overly sensitive and not being able to handle a negative response. And the thing is, whenever there's any kind of review, whether it's adoration or negative review, this is all good information. And Adolfo, I'm going to put this to you. I personally, I feel like the value of a positive, you're pointing out the positive of your game, is just as important as pointing out the negatives of a game. You learn from them both.
Absolutely, 100%. And I agree with you. I think this is downright censorship, and that's sick. Like, that's bad. In many ways, as Guillermo said, like trying to put myself on the publisher's shoes, on the developer's shoes. I understand how rough it can be to get some of the bad criticism, like because when you're publishing a game, you're working towards a goal, which is selling the game, basically. And one of the ways that you want to sell the game is by getting good coverage, good reviews, good impressions. So when you get a bad review like this, there's basically somebody working directly against your objective, against what you want to achieve. And it is frustrating. It is. But at the same time, like, you signed up for that. Like, you got when you put a game out there, when you put anything, any product out there, any service, product, whatever, you gotta understand that reviews and opinions, impressions are always subjective. Like, there's no objectivity really in reviews. Like, there is some element to it, but really, games as an art form, they are reviewed and engaged based on your perspective alone as a reviewer, and that perspective is made up by many very different things, like your education, even your cultural background, what you like or dislike, and there's many different things that you cannot account for properly. So that's what makes reviews very subjective, and that's just a fact. That's just a thing that exists in the industry. So what may be gold for you may be shit for somebody else, and you may not
agree.
Yeah, you may not see that because it's gold for you, but maybe bad for somebody else. So really, it's just a developer, as a publisher, like you cannot do much about that, but just make the best product that you can really, and hope that the biggest amount of people can like the game, because even the best games out there have haters. Even the best games out there have somebody on the internet calling them shit.
And again, this is exactly why I say getting your opinion from just one person isn't the way to do it. You want to get diversity in opinions on things, and to the point what you're saying is, you know, in order for people to grow, take the negative input, learn from it, and that's really the best thing to do. And it like we were talking about earlier, is you know, Blizzard got negative input when they had the tracer pose. And
Right.
we were kind of laughing and joking around because Blizzard was very tasteful. A lot of people didn't like it, and what they tastefully did is they changed the pose, a little bit tongue in cheek what they chose to do it to, but they didn't push back and basically go, you know what, fuck all you're a bunch of useless shitheads and we hate you, you're horrible people, fuck off. They went, okay, no problem. And again, their response was a little bit tongue in cheek, but it was fun because they listened and they learned. And they've gone from there. Kirok, I want to get your 2 bits on this because
based on what you guys, like everything you said, I pretty much agree with. Like, they're making a game. Adolfo mentioned it. You're getting into making a game. You're signing up for this. You're gonna get professional criticism. You're gonna get critique from just regular players and fans, and you should be able to take the positive along with the negative. It's feedback, whether it's negative feedback or whether it's positive feedback.
Yep.
But both of them are equally valuable, and you can build and change, maybe make game 2, part 2, better because of it, or even work on and release an update. I want to bring, though, to light, like, make sure we don't lose focus on the fact that the review got the review it did because of specifically the review site, the Sixth Axis, was saying that the game feels like it's just all microtransactions. Like they've added in so much of that into the game that it stands in the way of enjoying the game for what it is.
and it's a valid point.
Yeah, so it's like when you look at that, fine. What was another game that did that recently? For Honor. What was it? Steel? And they got that feedback, that backlash, if you want to call it that, and immediately made some changes and have rectified.
Well,
or
they made some changes,
not
but they also tried to argue the point. And this,
yes,
this,
they did. Yes, but
this
what
is the
I'm
other
getting
thing.
at is they can use it to their advantage rather than go to the website and say, "Well, we don't like what you're writing about us, and you got to pull it down."
Yeah, but
The
they
websites-
try to justify. This is the problem, and this is the other end result of this is, it's not just the fact that you're going to this company and say, "Hey, take it down. It's a bad review." You're making yourself look bad. I guarantee you that there's no way ever you're going to go to a company and say, "Shut up, take it down, don't say this," without a shitload of bad press.
Exactly.
This is the Streisand effect. For those who don't know, Streisand didn't like having a plane fly over and take pictures of her property, and she went to court about it to get those pictures removed offline, which made the whole thing blow up so everybody saw the pictures instead of just like a few select people.
Oh, I see.
And this is exactly what it is. It's a Streisand effect. You do stupid shit like this, and you're just gonna make yourself look worse.
Right.
Absolutely.
Instead, if they kept their mouth shut, this probably would have nobody would have noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that circles back very nicely to what we were talking about earlier with the whole PUBG and the Fortnite situation, where PUBG took it personally and I went on and have some very almost like this backlash, very childish backlash publicly about, hey, that was our game and that's our idea and we did it first and we wanted, that kind of attitude didn't help them.
Yep.
And most certainly helped Fortnite, because now more people are going to be interested in, so what's this game that is actually, copying or replicating whatever these guys are doing. And these guys have already sold like 10 million units. So it's like they didn't need to get all feisty about who got it first and who made it first and who made it better. And now because they did, a lot of press went to Epic Games and a lot of press went to Fortnite, and now Fortnite might have a very, very good amount of people going that way because of that press release.
And there are. This is not a new thing. Again, I have to stress, this is not something new. We've seen this happen in the past. There was a whole hullabaloo back towards the beginning of this, the start of this podcast, some year and a half ago, about game reviews and the interactions of devs and whatnot. And again, I appreciate that people are passionate about what they do. Making a game is not a simple process.
No, it's not.
It takes a lot of planning, a lot of time, a lot of overtime, a lot of caffeine. It's a lot to do. And I love everybody who takes time to do that, because it's what, it is for what they break their backs over. It's our recreation, our enjoyment, our passion that we play it, and it's their passion that create it. But again, it takes just when you see something like that and you want to, that's fine. With no microphone on, no video on, no keyboard typing, sit back, rant, rave, bitch, moan, stand up, put your fist through a wall, then calm down, grab some lunch, talk to a friend, then formulate your thoughts. Because at that point, you might be a little more rational and realize, how can I spin this and make it a good deal? And that's an important thing, because you can always come out smelling like roses if you play your cards right. And that's one of the things I have to stress people. Now, I do want to get all of your input on this, guys. Again, when it comes to the aspect of how Steam does reviews and how this particular developer responded, I do want to get your thoughts on there. As always, please make sure you guys message us in the comments below, because I would love to kind of hear about how you guys feel about this, because you're the public versus the developer versus the reviewer. It's good to have that trifecta of people and see what people think. So we need to get moving on here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But please, 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 please let us know what you think.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy NachoPandaa, and tonight, you guys, we got some epic stories happening in the world of esports and League of Legends. So you know we're going to be covering that. So stay tuned, you guys. We're going to cut the chit-chat right now. We're going to get right into the good stuff. Alright, you guys, so for those who don't know, this weekend starts the first official weekend of League of Legends World Championship play. But before we can even get to the good stuff, the best teams, the best of the best, we have the play-in stage happening this weekend. It's running from September 22nd through the 25th. We were going to be taking some of the best teams from the smaller regions around the world, and they will be duking it out to find out who will get the 4 last spots in the group stages of Worlds this year, 2017. Basically, the reason why they did this is they're trying to give some of these smaller regions based all around the world an opportunity to play in Worlds, because if they took a #1 team from every small region and every group, put it into Worlds, it would be like a 3-month-long event. So this is their workaround to get some of the smaller regions an opportunity to play on the grand stage of League of Legends. Like, this is the World Series. This is the Super Bowl of League of Legends, the World Championship, you guys. Everyone that plays League of Legends knows this is where you try to make it. This is where you try to make it. This is it. This is it. So what they've done is they've taken 12 teams. 8 of those teams are the #1 seed in their region, and the 4 teams are the #3 seed, and the other 2 seeds from those 4 regions, they're already in Worlds. So we're going to go over real quick those regions playing in. Now, first, we're going to start with the CBLOL, which is a league based out of Brazil. We have the LCL, based out of Moscow, Russia. We have the LJL, based out of Japan. We have the LAN and the LAS, which is Latin America North and South. We have the OPL, based out of Sydney. We have the GPL, based out of Southeast Asia. And we have the TCL, based out of Turkey. Now, those 8 teams are the #1 seed, the best team in their region. They're playing in, and they're going against the #3 seeds from the LPL, which is the league based out of China. We have the LMS based out of Taipei. We have the EU LCS, the European LCS, based out of Berlin. And we have the North American LCS, go USA, based out of LA, Los Angeles. So basically what this is going to be is this is kind of a mixed match of teams playing, trying to get to the grand show. And the way they've broken it down, it was all random teams picked. I'll have the information posted right up here. But for Group A, we have Team WE, based out of the LPL. So they were the #1 team based out of the LPL, or they were one of the best. They were one of the original teams based out of League of Legends. We have Lion Gaming based out of Latin America South, and we have Gambit Esports based out of LCL. That's all of group stage. That's all of Group A. And then we go to Group B. We have Cloud9 based out of North America. We have Direwolves based out of OPL. We have Team 1 Esports based out of Brazil. And so all 4 of these groups are three players in each group, based 4 groups, 4 roster spots, you get it. We have Group C with Fnatic leading off in the EU from the EU LCS. We have Chaos Latin Gamers based out of Latin America South. We have the Young Generation based out of the GPL. Now we move on to Group D. We have Rampage from the LJL, Hong Kong Attitude based out of LMS, and we have 1907 Fenerbahce Esports. I'm probably butchering their name. I apologize, you guys, if you know how to say it better than I. Good for you. And so for the knockout stage, you guys, this is kind of like a mismatch. I think it's double round robin group play. You'll see a lot of games happening this weekend from the 22nd through the 25th. And the way they've broken it down is they have Group A facing off against Group B, and they have those 2 groups are kind of mixed matched, and only 4 matches will be played from those groups, or each team will play 4 times. So we have A and B playing, and we have C and D playing. Now, of those 4 groups, the top 2 teams from each group will move on into a knockout round, which will be happening, I believe, next weekend, I believe it'll be happening at a later date. I don't have those exact dates on me, but they will be playing, and those teams will be picked at random. So it's not like A and B, the top 2 teams will play each other. It will all be mixed matched and random, and those will be a best of 5 series, you guys. So what happens from there is the teams will continue to play, and they will face off, and the winner of those best of 5 series will move on to the World Championships, and then those will be placed into the group stages based on the picks that were made for the World Championships. Whew. So you guys, there's a lot of League of Legends to happen. There's a lot of teams playing, a lot of incredible teams, you guys. If you don't know much about League of Legends, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking them out, because some teams that may not be known are making an incredible showing. They're coming in with a lot of promise. And then we have our North American teams, we have our European teams that have always shown great promise, but you never know, especially when when the first round is best of 1s, you don't have that option to kind of play them once and be like, okay, we've learned from that. You have to be concise and know what you're doing right off the bat. So that is what is going on this weekend, you guys. I'll have more information. If you guys have any questions, also make sure to reach out to me personally. You guys can check me out on Twitch. I'll put the information right up here. You can check me out on Twitter, you guys. You can check me out on the BRG website. You can leave comments down below, you guys. Let us know what you think, and if you're rooting for a specific team, give them a shout out. Let them know you're rooting for them, because I'm rooting for my boys in North America, Cloud9. They're already doing well. They got great promise. I think they're gonna make it, but you never know, you guys. So until next time, I thank you guys so much for checking this out. Make sure to like this channel. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, check me out on Twitch, you guys. I'll see you next time. It's been a pleasure. I'm NachoPandaa. Peace.
All right, guys, we are at the end of another wonderful podcast, and we do need, unfortunately, to end it, and I do apologize, because, man, I could so chat up you guys for a while here on all the wonderful things going on in your world, and that's exactly what I want to do, at least for a brief moment. So to start off with, you guys do have your own gaming podcast.
Absolutely. Our podcast is called Gaming Frontier. It's basically the 2 of us just getting together and discussing about the industry, gaming as a whole, through our perspectives as a game developer. So we try to put that spin to it to make it a unique listen for people. So that's called Gaming Frontier, and we're back to recording episodes for the podcast. We took some months off because we were just traveling to different events. We're very busy with that, but we're finally back. So you can check that on the link somewhere around here. I don't know where are you guys gonna put that, but yeah, you can check that out, and we're back recording that stuff.
Fair enough. And then, of course, the reason why you've been a little bit too busy for the podcast has been the fact that you guys actually are a group that makes things. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are part of a small indie game development studio in Mexico. We're called Lienzo. That's Lienz as in zebra O. That basically means canvas and Spanish. So we're a small
Okay.
studio.
I like
We
that.
are working on a game called Mulaka. It's a 3D action game that's based on indigenous tribe from northern Mexico. The game, you may have heard of it because it was announced on the latest Nindies showcase by Nintendo coming to the Switch. So we're working on that. We're working with Nintendo, with PlayStation, with Xbox, and getting the game done. So we're right now on the very final stretch of production. So
Awesome.
over the next couple of weeks and months, we're just wrapping up development. On my end, there's a lot of QA going on and preparation for certification for the consoles and all the fun publishing stuff on all platforms. So that's basically what's coming up for me. Like it's just finding bugs, finding weak areas of the game, like frustration areas, and just polishing that stuff with the programmers. One of which is Guillermo right here, just working with this awesome guys every single day for that. Just preparing for the release of the game early next year for all consoles. If you want to look at more info of the game, you can go to our websites. That's lienzo.mx. It's Lienc as in zebra O.mx. We also have a Twitter account, which is twitter.com/lienzomx. And Facebook, it's facebook.com/lienzomexico. So you can check our stuff in there. We publish a brand new screenshot every single day of the week.
Nice.
So you can check that.
That's pretty neat.
Of course, for you guys personally too, you do have your own Twitter accounts, and you jibber
So
jabber
yeah,
every once in a while.
yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/slash Adolfo Aguirre C. So spelling that very quickly, it's ADOLFOAGUIRREZ. That's basically my name, my full name. I do tweet in English like 95% of the time, so that's neat for you if you want to follow me. We can.
And if
have
not, you've got
great
Google
stuff.
Translate.
Absolutely.
And Guillermo, you also have a Twitter account.
Yes, I do. Yeah, you can follow me, guys, at at 6U1LL3. And also, if you guys want to play with me for whatever reason, you can find me on Xbox Live or PSN as capital IX space 6U1LL3 space XI. Switch the spaces for underscores on PSN, and that should be where you can find me. And as for what I'm gonna do in the coming days and months, it's fixing the bugs that this guy is gonna be finding. Pretty much rewriting some of the dialogue for the game. And also, I wanted to do a plug here real quick, just before I forgot. I don't know if you guys know, or if the audience knows, there has been a couple, now three, of fairly aggressive earthquakes going on around Mexico City. It's been pretty rough. There was a lot of devastation, there was a lot of destruction. There's a lot of people dying, and it's just very, very awful. I don't want to, bring the mood down too much. But if you guys want to help, if anyone out there wants to help, you can go to topos.mx and help the cause, help donate, or you can go to UNICEF also and help, bring supplies and bring people to the places where they need to be so they can, be of some help. It will be very much appreciated. It's a very, very tough moment for the country. Just have that in mind. And that's about it, I think.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure, guys, we get the links down in the show notes below so you guys can find all those links. Not only to, of course, the wonderful studio and these guys here, but to That Sports, if you want to support that. There's been some devastation across the board for everybody. So if you guys have a little bit of heart and want to help out here, every dollar counts. So we do appreciate that. So, again, thank you guys so very much. It's always a pleasure having you guys on. It seems like there's always so much news to cover that we don't get enough time to really dive into a lot of stuff. But at some point, I'm going to drag you guys back on here just for the sole purpose of just talking about, your studio or the game, preferably when the game comes out. Man, I'd love to have you guys in there and just dive into that.
We would love that. We would love that. And I mean, for you guys, thank you for the invitation. We always love being here. It's a great place, and you guys have been fantastic. So anytime, absolutely anytime.
Absolutely, count us in.
I'm down for that. And of course, guys, I would be remiss if I didn't give Kirrok his 2 seconds of fame. So, Kirrok, you have a Twitch account.
I have a Twitch account.
And that's your 2 seconds. Thanks a lot. Anyways, guys, moving on. I know. I'm kidding. How's Twitch treating you?
Twitch is good.
Better than Mixer?
No, actually, yeah, it is. I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it. This last week, though, I have not been on it. I haven't been feeling well. Some health things going on. So you could say it was my little vacation. But this coming week, I'm planning to just get back right into it. 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Just for you guys, he'll do 2 extra days that next week just to make up for it.
No, what? Hang on. I don't know. We'll see. If I do have some time, I will. I really, really feel bad about missing Wednesday because Wednesday is my favorites because I do the VR streaming. So I'm looking forward to.
So this coming week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll be doing VR for you.
Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yeah.
What about Thursday? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You should probably do that too. But definitely Tuesday and Wednesday for you guys. Promise.
Oh.
God damn it!
What are you doing? Whatever.
Obligating your ass.
It's on the Twitch is my my schedule. If I do a bonus day in there, awesome.
Great.
I don't mind.
Project Singularity is doing well, I assume?
Project Singularity as well. There was a game day today, so I was at work. I wasn't able to attend. I don't know if anyone actually got together or not. Yeah, that's about it. We're actually sending back emails, exchanging our. We're all like a few of us are catching into different TV shows and things like that. So Walden, who's also in BRG, is kind of like on this binge of watching all the Star Trek episodes before the new one goes live in a couple of days.
That's why,
and that's great. Life. Yeah, that's awesome. So
we're into the second season of Enterprise, so we're trying to get through those as quick as we can before the new one starts. So
nice,
kick ass. Guys, I don't really have much to show for myself. I did have 2 episodes of my shitty Moto vlog come out, so you're welcome to head over to my my shitty Moto vlogs. That's youtube.com/WarpedJester. You can just pop it in there and you'll find me. But of course, as always, Ball Rocket is the place to be. So ballrocketgaming.com if you want to go to the official website, which I'll be honest with you, it is more functional than it is pretty. Not a lot of conversation goes on there, but we do have events, things that come up. So we'll have an events page we'll pull up and you'll see things there. Most of our conversations is actually in our Discord now. So if you want to keep up with us and talk with us, just go into Discord and look at Ball Rocket Gaming. You will find us there. We do, of course, have our YouTube channel. Hey, look, you found it. Here you are. Hooray. So since you're already here, if you've really enjoyed hanging out with us, listening to the news and whatnot, I definitely encourage you guys to go ahead and hit the like button and leave a comment. Like I said, we'd love to get your opinion on a lot of the topics and whatnot, and you can do that down below. And of course, if you want to keep up with what's going on here, please feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because the subscribe button says we're going to let you know when the next one comes out, and that's a good thing, right? Right. Plus, I need to remind you that our wonderful companions over on the Twitch side of things, a bunch of good people, love them to death, but they have 87 followers where we only have 62 followers on the YouTube side. So we need to fix this, guys. So please let everybody you know, tell them about the Ball Rocket Gaming Podcast. Have them go over to Ball Rocket Gaming on YouTube and make sure they subscribe there, so that we can get our numbers up and pass these assholes who think they're better than us because they're live streaming. Help us out here. And of course, if you guys want to help us out, I certainly do encourage you to go ahead and head over to the Patreon account. Again, all proceeds from Patreon are put right back into the group by helping us out with paying for events, helping people out with buying games so they can join us for things and what's not. So please feel free to go ahead and put your $1 in or $3 there. And again, we still have our hidden goal of $1,000. We'll ship Kirrok out in a crate.
Are we still? That's still happening?
As far as I'm aware.
Oh,
Nobody's
goodness.
bothered pitching $1,000 to us yet. So,
I thought that was over when you were away, man.
oh, if that's over, I'll find something new. And it only gets worse. For a higher dollar amount, there's all kinds of things I can dream up for you. For the cause. Yes. Anyways, guys, I appreciate the time tonight. Thank you so very much. And of course, Adolfo, Guillermo, thank you so very much for coming
Thank
back
you.
once again. Apparently you didn't learn
Thanks,
your
guys.
lesson the last time, so I'll keep milking this for all it's worth. All right, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.